Something is in our solar system right now that shouldn't be there. We thought it was a comet. We were wrong. It slowed down when it should have sped up. It changed direction when it should have kept going. And 3 weeks ago, it started sending us a signal. NASA won't talk about it publicly. But the data doesn't lie. This object is not natural. And it's not leaving. If you want to see the evidence that's making scientists question everything, hit that like button. And let's dive in. Because what I'm about to show you is going to change how you see the night sky forever. My name is Professor Avi Loeb, and I'm about to admit something that could destroy my reputation. As one of the world's leading astrophysicists, as someone who's spent decades studying the cosmos, teaching at Harvard, publishing hundreds of papers, I have to tell you the truth. We were completely wrong, not just a little wrong. Catastrophically, embarrassingly, fundamentally wrong about something flying through our solar system right this very second. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this may be the biggest scientific mistake of my entire career. When 3 Atlas was first discovered 18 months ago, we all thought it was just another interstellar comet, a harmless ball of ice and dust that had been drifting between the stars for millions of years, maybe billions. NASA's early data seemed to confirm that story perfectly. Bright tail? Check. Minor gas release? Check. Classic hyperbolic orbit that would carry it right back out into deep space? Check, check, check. Nothing unusual, nothing to see here, just another space rock. Or so we thought. But then, as the months went by, as we collected more data, as we pointed more and more telescopes at this thing, the evidence began to twist into something far, far stranger. The more information we gathered, the less sense it made. 3I Atlas started breaking the fundamental rules of nature itself. It didn't behave like a comet. It didn't move like an asteroid. And it certainly didn't look like anything we'd ever seen before in the entire history of astronomy. Astronomers around the world began noticing strange inconsistencies, tiny shifts in the way it reflected light, sudden bursts of heat that appeared out of nowhere, mysterious fluctuations in its speed that absolutely no natural explanation could account for. None. And here's what I realized. This represents a critical failure of imagination in astrophysics. We are so trained, so programmed to see comets and asteroids everywhere we look, that we risk completely ignoring the anomalies, the outliers, the things that don't fit. This is what I call the looking for your keys under the lamppost problem. We only search for what we expect to find. We only see what we're trained to see. But the universe doesn't care about our expectations. The universe doesn't care about our training or our textbooks or our neat little categories. The real science, the valuable science, begins when the data contradicts the model, when reality refuses to fit inside our boxes. This is exactly what happened with Oumuamua back in 2017. That cigar-shaped visitor that accelerated without any visible propulsion. And it's happening again right now with 3I Atlas. But this time, it's on a scale that is absolutely impossible to ignore. This isn't just a minor error in calculation. This isn't a rounding mistake or a calibration issue. This is the kind of discovery that forces us to rewrite the textbooks, to question everything we thought we knew. Every single assumption we made about this object has systematically fallen apart. The question we're asking now isn't, what is it made of, anymore. The question has become, who or what made it behave this way? As I told my colleagues in a closed-door meeting last month, we are standing at the edge of something we do not yet understand. And that's both exciting and absolutely terrifying. Because if 3I Atlas isn't a natural visitor, if it's not just a wandering chunk of ice and rock, then it means something or someone out there sent it here. On purpose, with intention, and they might still be watching. Let me take you back to the beginning, to the moment when everything still seemed normal. At first glance, 3I Atlas looked harmless, beautiful even. A glowing traveller from the depths of interstellar space, drifting gracefully toward the sun, like it had done this dance a million times before. NASA labelled it a hyperbolic comet, just as they once did with Oumuamua. Everything seemed routine, standard procedure, just another day at the cosmic office. But then the data started fighting back. Telescopes in Chile, Hawaii, and Spain started sending conflicting reports. The light signature wasn't behaving the way frozen ice reflects sunlight. Instead of the steady, predictable glow we expected, It pulsed. It flickered. Almost like a signal, almost like it was trying to communicate something. And that supposed coma, that bright halo we always see around comets when they get close to the sun, it wasn't made of gas or dust at all. It was perfectly symmetrical, mathematically precise, holding its exact shape as if it were being stabilized by some invisible force. Now think about that for a second. Real comets are messy. They're chaotic, they're completely unpredictable. They spin wildly, they tumble through space, they melt away under the sun's brutal heat, leaving trails of debris scattered across millions of miles. But 3I Atlas, it didn't melt, it didn't spin out of control. Instead, it held a steady, unwavering orientation, almost as if it was aiming itself, pointing itself, like a ship adjusting its heading. Think about what that implies. Really think about it. To hold a steady orientation against the absolutely chaotic forces of solar wind and gravitational torque, you need active stabilization. You need thrusters, or an internal gyroscopic system, something mechanical, something engineered. This isn't geology anymore, this is engineering. The lack of outgassing became our smoking gun. A comet's tail is its identity, its signature, its calling card. It's created by the sun, literally boiling the ice away, releasing jets of vapor and dust that stream behind it like a cosmic river. But 3I Atlas? No tail. It was cold, controlled, and eerily clean. Astronomers tried desperately to rationalize it. Maybe its composition was unusual, they said. Maybe it's made of frozen carbon dioxide instead of water ice. Maybe it's coated in metallic dust. Maybe it's something exotic we've never encountered before. But then came the biggest red flag of all. When we analysed its brightness using spectroscopic instruments, we discovered something that made my blood run cold. The brightness wasn't natural. It wasn't sunlight simply bouncing off rock or ice like it should be. Instead, our instruments detected an artificial spectrum, a controlled emission, like the object was generating its own light signature. That's when I realised, sitting alone in my office at 3 a.m. staring at the data, that we might not be studying a piece of cosmic debris. We might be studying a piece of technology. 3I Atlas wasn't behaving like a comet that accidentally stumbled into our solar system. It was behaving like a visitor that deliberately chose to be here. And if that's true, then every single assumption about this object being just a wandering rock has officially, completely, irrevocably collapsed. Then came the moment that made every scientist in the world stop breathing. As 3I Atlas approached its closest point to the sun, something that should be physically impossible happened. It slowed down. Not because of gravity, not because of atmospheric drag, because there is no atmosphere in space, but by its own command, by choice. The data was absolutely unmistakable, crystal clear. Instead of accelerating as every single object in space naturally does when approaching a massive gravitational body like the sun, 3I Atlas hit the brakes. It decelerated smoothly, deliberately, precisely. It's as if something inside it said, "We've reached our target. Reduce speed now." NASA's tracking systems confirmed it within hours, a steady, controlled deceleration that followed a perfect mathematical curve. No natural object could do this. None. Not in our solar system, not anywhere in the known universe. We ran through every possible explanation. Radiation pressure? Not nearly strong enough. Solar wind? Wrong direction. Magnetic drag? Doesn't work that way. Outgassing that we somehow missed? There was no outgassing. None. Zero. We checked and rechecked the data 100 times. None of it added up. None of it made sense. The trajectory changed smoothly, elegantly, not chaotically like it should if random forces were acting on it. It was as if the object was being guided by a navigation system with incredible, almost unbelievable precision. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. The slowdown happened at the perfect distance from the sun, the exact orbital position where solar energy collection would be ideal, where a solar panel or a light sail or some kind of energy harvesting system would function at maximum efficiency. Our telescopes detected a faint glow emanating from the surface. Not heat, not reflected sunlight, an infrared signature completely consistent with active energy absorption. Like watching a battery charge in real time. 3I Atlas wasn't losing energy like every comet in history does. It was gaining it, harvesting it, feeding on the sun itself. I described it in my research notes as controlled propulsion without visible exhaust. It's like a light sail, the theoretical spacecraft concept powered by nothing but sunlight pressure. Except this one was operating far beyond anything our current technology could possibly achieve. A light sail is passive technology. It's pushed by photons, by particles of light, that's it. But what we were witnessing here was active, intelligent. It wasn't just being pushed randomly, it was braking against the sun's photon pressure and gravitational pull simultaneously. This suggests a propulsion mechanism that can modulate its reflectivity on command. Or even more incredibly, convert that incoming solar energy directly into a counter-propulsive force, into thrust pointing in the opposite direction. It's a technology that is, quite frankly, magical to us, like showing an internal combustion engine to someone from the Middle Ages. At first, some scientists in the community thought it might just be an incredible coincidence. Your statistical fluke. 1 in a billion chance. But when we plotted the data frame by frame, when we mapped every single course correction, the path was too perfect. Every curve, every vector, every tiny adjustment aligned with mathematical intent. It wasn't just reacting to physics like a dumb rock. It was using physics, exploiting it, like a surfer reading a wave. I remember the exact moment when I paused the data playback, turned to my colleagues in the analysis room, and said very quietly, "This thing is not following the laws of motion. It's rewriting them in real time. Whatever 3i Atlas is, wherever it came from, it's moving through our solar system like it knows exactly what it's doing. Like it has a plan. Just when we thought this mystery couldn't possibly get any stranger, the universe said, 'Hold my beer.'" After its mysterious deceleration near the Sun, the European Space Agency made a bold decision. They redirected one of their Mars orbiters, pulling it off its regular observation schedule, to take high-resolution scans of 3i Atlas as it passed near the red planet's orbit. What those images revealed sent absolute shockwaves through the entire astronomical community. 3i Atlas wasn't a random chunk of rock that had been tumbling through space for eons. It had structure. Deliberate, unmistakable, impossible to ignore structure. The surface showed a repeating network of hexagonal panels, perfectly geometric, combined with circular formations that were so precise they looked like they'd been drawn with a cosmic compass. Each shape was aligned with mathematical perfection. No natural mountain ridges, no impact craters from billions of years of cosmic collisions, no erosion patterns, just pure, clean, artificial symmetry. The kind of symmetry you'd expect from something that was built, not born. Geologists immediately tried to explain it away. Maybe they're crystalline formations, they suggested. Maybe it's an exotic mineral responding to cosmic radiation in ways we don't understand. Maybe it's a natural process we've just never seen before. But the geometry was too clean, too perfect, too intentional. We ran computer simulations of every known natural process: crystal formation, freeze-thaw cycles, radiation weathering, tidal forces. Nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, could recreate what we were seeing in those images. Some of the panels reflected light in synchronized intervals, like mirrors repositioning themselves in a coordinated dance. Almost as if 3i Atlas was adjusting its surface configuration in response to our observation, like it knew we were watching and was responding to our attention. This is perhaps the most profound piece of evidence we've gathered so far. Nature does utilize geometric patterns, yes, fractals, crystalline structures, the hexagons in a honeycomb or a snowflake, but not macro-scale, repeating, mathematically perfect hexagons combined with perfect circles on an object hundreds of meters across. That is the signature of manufactured design, of intelligent construction. The fact that the surface seemed to adjust its reflectivity as we watched it, that it appeared to be reactive and aware, implies something beyond mere technology. It suggests an active system, a probe that knows when it's being observed. This revelation took 3i Atlas from being a piece of inert alien technology drifting through space to something far more unsettling, an active probe, with sensors, with programming, with purpose. I remember the exact moment I first saw the enhanced imagery on my computer screen. You look at it once and you think, okay, that's strange, that's unusual. You look at it a second time and your entire understanding of what constitutes a natural object begins to crack and crumble. NASA's spectrographic analysis confirmed our worst fears. The surface composition wasn't consistent with any known rock formation or ice structure. Instead, it was composed of carbon-based alloys and unknown composite materials. Substances specifically engineered to absorb and disperse heat far more efficiently than anything we've ever created here on Earth. And then there's the shape itself. From one viewing angle, 3I Atlas looks like an oblong shard, rough and irregular. But under infrared mapping, something incredible appears. A faint hexagonal lattice becomes visible beneath the surface, as if part of the exterior is retractable, modular, transformable. It's almost like the outer shell was designed to reconfigure itself, to adapt. Let me be absolutely blunt about something. You don't get right angles in nature. You don't get repeating hexagonal patterns on this scale. You don't get perfectly synchronized reflective panels that adjust to observation. Not from random cosmic processes, not from billions of years of natural evolution. This thing was built, designed, constructed by intelligence. And if that's true, then we're not just watching an interstellar object casually pass through our solar system on its way to somewhere else. We're watching something that was specifically designed to hide in plain sight, to masquerade as a natural comet while doing something else entirely. The question that kept me awake for weeks was simple but terrifying. What is it really doing here? As data from multiple observatories around the world poured into our databases, we finally managed to break down exactly what 3I Atlas was made of at the molecular level. That's when everything we thought we knew about comets completely disintegrated. The spectroscopic analysis came back, and I remember staring at the numbers on my screen, thinking there had to be some kind of mistake, some calibration error, some contamination in the data. 3I Atlas was composed of 96% carbon dioxide and almost no water, not even a trace amount. Not a single molecule that we could detect. Let me explain why this is absolutely impossible for a natural comet. Every known comet in our entire solar system, every single one we've ever studied, contains frozen water. Water ice is literally the defining characteristic of what makes a comet a comet. It's what gives them their brilliant tails when they approach the sun. It's what creates the outgassing. It's what makes them glow. But 3I Atlas, bone dry, completely devoid of water, it's like finding an ocean made of gasoline with no oxygen molecules anywhere to burn it. The chemical ratios inside this object broke every single model of planetary formation that we have. No natural process in the universe that we know of could create something like this. And the strangeness didn't stop there. The carbon wasn't ordinary either. When we analysed its molecular structure, we discovered it was arranged in patterns almost identical to synthetic graphene. Now, if you don't know what graphene is, let me explain. Graphene is one of the most advanced materials that human science has ever created. It's a single layer of carbon atoms arranged in a hexagonal lattice. It's one atom thick. It's stronger than steel, it's more conductive than copper, and it has thermal properties that seem almost magical. We've only just begun to master graphene in our laboratories. We can barely manufacture it in useful quantities. But here, flying through our solar system, is an object hundreds of meters across that's coated in something structurally identical to it. Think about what that implies. To create a graphene-like coating on this scale requires intelligence that has mastered material science at the atomic level. This isn't just a strong protective shell. This is a functional component. It could be used for thermal regulation, preventing the object from overheating, for energy conduction, channeling power throughout the structure, or even as part of its propulsion system. When we ran computer simulations of 3I Atlas's closest approach to the Sun, the results were absolutely chilling. At perihelion, at the point of closest solar approach, this object absorbed temperatures that should have vaporized it instantly. We're talking about heat intense enough to melt titanium, to boil rock, to turn ice into superheated plasma in microseconds. But instead of disintegrating like every natural comet would, instead of breaking apart or exploding, 3I Atlas grew brighter. It intensified, almost as if it was feeding off the solar radiation, drinking it in, converting it into something else. That was the moment when speculation about an artificial origin stopped sounding like fringe science fiction and started sounding like the only rational explanation. The absorption patterns were far too selective to be random. The object didn't just passively absorb heat like a black rock in the sun, it chose specific wavelengths, particularly frequencies in the ultraviolet and infrared ranges. These are the exact same frequency bands that our own technology uses for power collection and long-distance communication. I said very quietly to my research team, my voice barely above a whisper, "This isn't ice reflecting sunlight randomly. This is an engineered surface, something deliberately designed to gather energy with maximum efficiency." But that realization led us to a question that none of us wanted to ask out loud. If 3i Atlas is harvesting solar energy, storing it, converting it into usable power, then what exactly is it preparing for? What does it need all that energy to do? Then came the event that transformed our disbelief into genuine fear. During its closest approach to the sun, 3i Atlas didn't burn. It didn't break apart. It didn't explode into a cloud of debris like every comet before it in recorded history. Instead, for 40 minutes, it activated. Solar observatories around the world recorded a massive surge of radiation bouncing off its surface. But this wasn't random scatter. It was rhythmic, pulsing, almost like a heartbeat, like something alive had suddenly woken up. 3i Atlas was absorbing solar energy at an incredible rate and converting sunlight directly into motion without releasing a single trace of gas, plasma, or any kind of exhaust. It was like watching a machine feed, a technological organism consuming its fuel source. But here's what made it even more remarkable. The object's surface temperature didn't rise out of control like it should have. In fact, it stabilized. It balanced itself perfectly, maintaining an exact thermal equilibrium as if some kind of internal cooling system was regulating the heat distribution across its entire structure. Every single piece of data pointed to one inescapable conclusion: this object was using controlled propulsion, but not propulsion like anything we've ever built. There were no rocket exhausts, no jets of superheated gas, no debris trails, no sonic signatures in the solar wind. Nothing. It moved with eerie, almost supernatural precision, slowing down, pivoting on invisible axes, then reorienting itself with mathematical accuracy that would make our best spacecraft look clumsy by comparison. Scientists observing it in real time watched micro-adjustments happening before their eyes. Course corrections so precise, so perfectly calculated that they could only come from active guidance, from a navigation system, from intelligence. And then, almost deliberately, almost like it was making a choice, 3i Atlas changed direction. Instead of slingshotting away into interstellar space like any natural comet should after passing the sun, instead of continuing on its hyperbolic escape trajectory back into the cosmic void, it shifted into a brand new path, a trajectory that kept it inside our solar system. Its orbit wasn't natural anymore. It couldn't be explained by gravity alone. It was chosen, selected, programmed. I called it the maneuver that broke physics. This object used the sun's gravity not as a limitation to escape from, but as a tool to be exploited. It bent its path through space like a skilled pilot, threading through invisible currents. It didn't fight against the solar pull. It used it, redirected it, harnessed it like a sailboat tacking against the wind. Energy readings showed coordinated bursts perfectly synchronized with every movement. Pulses of power each time it shifted orientation, each time it adjusted its heading. It wasn't just passively absorbing sunlight anymore, it was actively using it, converting it into thrust, into propulsion, into controlled movement. For the first time, the worldwide scientific community stopped calling it a comet, at least in private. Quietly, in internal reports that were never meant to go public, NASA and ESA researchers began using a new classification: Controlled Object of Unknown Origin. And if that's true, if we're being honest about what the data is telling us, it means 3i Atlas isn't drifting through our solar system by chance or accident. It's staying here on purpose, with intention. The question that haunted me every single night was simple: why? Then came the moment that made even the most hardened, skeptical scientists fall completely silent. Just days after its strange energy absorption event near the sun, after we'd watched it perform impossible maneuvers that defied our understanding of orbital mechanics, 3i Atlas did something that changed everything. Instead of continuing its escape velocity into deep space, which should have been the inevitable fate of any interstellar visitor, it slowed down again. Gently, carefully, and shifted its course one more time. Its new trajectory wasn't random. It wasn't chaotic. It was deliberate. 3i Atlas entered a stable elliptical orbit around the Sun, one that keeps it circling through the inner solar system, passing near Earth, Venus and Mars in a repeating pattern, again and again and again. In simple terms that anyone can understand, it decided to stay. That was the exact moment we realized something intelligent was definitely behind the controls. Objects don't just decide to stop leaving the solar system on their own. That's not how celestial mechanics works. Now, yes, an object can be captured by gravity. Jupiter does this occasionally with passing comets. But that's a violent, chaotic event. The comet gets yanked around, torn apart by tidal forces, sent spinning wildly into an unpredictable orbit. This was different. This was gentle, smooth, precise. This was an orbital insertion maneuver, the kind of thing we do with our spacecraft when we send them to other planets. 3i Atlas expended energy to lose velocity at the exact right moment, at the exact right position, to achieve a stable, repeating orbit that would keep it in our neighborhood indefinitely. This isn't chance, this isn't luck, this isn't random gravitational capture, this is navigation, this is piloting, this is control. Something or someone calculated the perfect trajectory, the perfect velocity, the perfect timing, and executed it flawlessly. But what kind of intelligence are we dealing with here? I've spent months thinking about this question, and honestly, I can only come up with 3 possible explanations. The first is alien engineering, a probe sent by an extraterrestrial civilization, possibly from a planet orbiting another star, designed to explore our solar system, to study us, to watch us, to learn. The second is something even stranger, an unknown life form that we've never encountered before. Not biological in the way we understand life, but something that exists in the vacuum of space itself. Something that feeds on solar radiation and uses electromagnetic fields the way we use muscles and nerves. The third possibility is the most unsettling of all. An intelligence that isn't alive in any conventional sense but emerges from the complexity of its own structure. What some physicists call self-organizing complexity. Something that doesn't follow physics but uses physics as part of its thought process, a kind of quantum intelligence where consciousness isn't contained in a brain but is embedded in the materials themselves, in the atomic lattice, in the energy flows. I admit, all 3 explanations sound like pure science fiction, like the plot of a Hollywood movie. But the data doesn't lie. The numbers don't care about our comfort level or our philosophical preferences. 3i Atlas moves with precision, it behaves with purpose, and it interacts with energy in a way that implies awareness, responsiveness, intelligence. We're either witnessing alien engineering, an unknown form of life, or something beyond both, something we don't even have words for yet. An intelligence born from the universe itself. I'll never forget what I said during a live interview last month. I looked straight into the camera, knowing millions of people were watching, and I told the world very clearly, whatever it is, it knows we've seen it, and it's responding. The question now isn't what 3i Atlas is anymore. The question is, what does it want? Then it happened. The moment that changed absolutely everything. On November 1st, just as 3i Atlas completed another pass through its new stable orbit, observatories across the entire world simultaneously detected something they had never, ever seen before. From the Allen Telescope Array in California to the Parkes Observatory in Australia, from SETI installations in Puerto Rico to listening stations in China, they all picked up the same thing at the exact same moment. A pulse. A clean, repeating radio signal emanating directly from the precise coordinates of 3i Atlas. Not background noise, not cosmic interference, not a glitch in our equipment. A pure, intentional transmission, broadcasting at exactly 1.420 gigahertz. For those who don't know, that's the hydrogen line, the universal frequency. The one that every astronomer on Earth agrees would be the absolute first channel used for interstellar communication, because hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, and any technological civilization would know that we'd be listening there. It's the cosmic equivalent of knocking on the front door. When the data came into my laboratory, when I saw it appear on the screens, my entire team and I sat in absolutely stunned silence. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. We just stared. Because it wasn't random static. It wasn't noise, it was structured, organized, patterned. It had meaning. The signal repeated every 47 seconds, perfectly regular, like clockwork. And here's the terrifying part. 47 seconds was the exact same interval that matched 3i Atlas's light fluctuation cycles that we've been observing for months. It was coordinating its radio transmission with its visual signature, like it was making absolutely sure we'd make the connection. When our team converted the radio transmission into binary code, into ones and zeros, it revealed something that made my hands shake. A sequence of prime numbers, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23. Prime numbers don't occur naturally in random cosmic noise. They can't. They represent pure logic, pure mathematics. They're proof of intelligence, of conscious thought. It's the universal language of rational minds. SETI confirmed it independently within hours, ruling out satellites, terrestrial interference, reflections from known spacecraft, even secret military transmissions. The source was definitely deep space. It was precise. It was moving in perfect synchronization with 3i Atlas's trajectory through our solar system. But then came the real breakthrough that sent chills down my spine. Hidden within the primary signal was a second layer, a deeper message, an encoded waveform containing harmonic frequencies, almost like a musical chord, like a cosmic symphony playing at the edge of human hearing. When our team mapped it visually, when we converted the frequencies into a geometric pattern, it formed something incredible. A perfect spiral aligned with the golden ratio. Phi, 1.618. The same mathematical proportion we see in DNA molecules, in the spiral arms of galaxies, in nautilus shells, in the proportions of the human face, even in classical art and architecture. This is the single most valuable part of the entire message. The choice of the hydrogen line is Astronomy 101 for making contact. It's the obvious frequency. The prime numbers are the universal hello of logical beings. But the golden ratio, that implies something far deeper, a shared understanding of emergent complexity, of beauty, of the mathematical principles that govern how complexity arises from simplicity throughout the universe. It suggests that whoever sent this sees the universe the same way we do, or rather, the way our greatest minds do. It's not just a message of presence, it's a message of sophistication, of culture. It's not a threat, it's an introduction. I remember the exact moment I finally understood what I was looking at. I could barely speak. My voice cracked when I tried to explain it to my colleagues. They didn't just send noise into space, they sent mathematics, they sent beauty, they sent proof of understanding. The message isn't a distress call, it's not a warning, it's an introduction, a cosmic handshake. Something that says very clearly, we know you can hear us, we know you're intelligent, we've been listening to the radio signals leaking from your planet for decades, and now we're here. Since that November day, global agencies have gone into silent coordination mode. NASA, SETI, ESA, the Russian Space Agency, even the United Nations, all quietly meeting behind closed doors, forming committees, writing protocols, planning responses. Officially, publicly, there's been no statement, no press conference, no acknowledgement that anything unusual is happening. But unofficially, in private conversations, in encrypted emails between astronomers, they're calling this the first verified contact signal in human history. And here's the most haunting part of all. The signal hasn't stopped. It continues to repeat every 47 seconds, broadcasting continuously into space, patiently waiting for us to answer back. I ended my most recent public statement with a warning, quiet but firm. Measured but serious. If they're reaching out to us, if they're making contact, it means they already know we're here, they've already found us, they've already decided we're worth talking to. The real question, the one that keeps me awake every single night, is this: what happens when we finally answer back? The valuable lesson here isn't just that we might not be alone in the universe. We've suspected that for decades. The lesson is that we must remain humble in the face of evidence. We must be willing to abandon our most cherished theories, our most comfortable assumptions when the data tells us we're wrong. Because the universe is far stranger, far more complex, and far more intelligent than our textbooks have ever dared to imagine. The mystery of 3i Atlas is just beginning. We don't know where it came from. We don't know who built it. We don't know what it wants. But we know it's there. We know it's watching. And we know it's trying to communicate. So I'm asking you right now, what do you think this message means? What should humanity's answer be? Should we respond at all, or should we stay silent? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to continue this journey into the unknown, if you want to explore the biggest mysteries that science has ever encountered, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell, because what comes next might change everything we thought we knew about our place in the cosmos. The universe is speaking. The question is, are we ready to listen?